Happy to see you all back. My name is OT Sophie for those of you who don't know and are new to my channel. But for those who do know, welcome back. When you go on the interview for the OT program, there are questions that you may not come across because you've never heard of them, you don't know where to start, you get very nervous, you get anxious, and you ask yourself, am I well prepared? Nobody's ever well prepared, but in the case of getting into the program, not always easy, but you know what? You have a good GPA, you have a good background with your previous degrees, you're fine, you're set. However, when it comes to the interview process, it's very different. I don't know if you've heard, some colleges have like a whole interview process where it's face to face with 3 professors sometimes, and then they have like a whole interactive interview where they actually look to see if you're doing a group project with other students who are getting into the program, as well as you who are really your competition at the end of the day if you don't get in, because they're doing better in other areas that you're not, or you're doing better than them in other areas that they're not. At the end of the day, you don't know where you end up. So I will prepare you today with the questions I have here next to me. And it's tons of papers here that I have. I'm gonna put them up on my website so that way you're well prepared for the actual interview. But these are not exactly the questions they ask, but they're similar. So if you're well prepared with the questions that I will actually say right now, then that means you're going to do well in that interview. There are questions such as, well, there are general questions they ask you, personal or family questions, thought questions, sample occupational questions like why occupational therapy, why do you want to attend LIU, for example, or their school, what is your perception about the occupation you are going for, what are your weaknesses, which is, by the way, a very, I noticed when I went to my interviews for the occupational therapy program, it's a main question that they ask. What are your weaknesses? And how can you improve your weaknesses? That made me think during my OT interview. Now, what are your strengths? Also a very high question you will get. Why should we accept you? How did you hear about our school or program? Describe your work or volunteer experience. Make sure you have some volunteer experience prior getting into the program, because they want to see that you have a hands-on experience versus somebody who has no experience in the profession. They want someone who's well prepared, not just getting into the program because they were told to, or because someone in the program got into the profession and they're doing it as well. They want to see that you're really passionate about this profession and this is something you see yourself doing in the long term. Okay, here are some other questions. What is your biggest challenge that you overcame and how did you do that? Okay, this is a question I was asked, and yes, I was able to answer it. Now, I would suggest thinking about this question before you go into that interview. They really look at the way you answer, your emotions, your face expressions, the way you sit during the interview, your posture. Are you sitting sideways during your interview? Are you sitting straight? Are you putting your hand on your face? Are you biting your nails? Are you playing with your hair? Are you actually being a professional during the interview? Or you just don't care? Every little thing counts, so it's important for you to dress professionally, speak professionally, try to present yourself in the most proper way, talk directly to the person that is interviewing you. That way you don't have to, avoid their eyes and you're showing that you're confident. you know what you're doing, and you're 100% passionate about this profession. The whole point of the interview is to see you are a powerful candidate for their program. They don't just accept anyone into their school, they accept top-notch students. Another 2 questions that I will ask. The rest I'll post on my website, which is still not officially done, but it will be soon, and you'll be able to download these questions or even copy and paste them and memorize them. Prepare yourself, you know, for the occupational therapy interview. Talking about school, not the job itself. The job itself is different, but they're similar also in a way. That I may post in a different video if people comment down below. This is something that you will be asked also during your interview. What will be your priority after you are admitted to a graduate school? Now, if you can't answer that, I don't know if they'll look at you the same way. Let me say something else before I end this video. I'm going to give you a background of my professional history. I did not go straight into occupational therapy because I initially went for occupational therapy assistant, and I fell in love with the profession, and I said to myself in the beginning of the occupational therapy assistant program, if I love it, I will go back to school to become an OT. And I did. Do I regret it? No. Was it longer? Maybe. Did I work during the time I went to school? Yes. Was I able to handle it? Yes, I was. Would I recommend it to other students? Yes, I would. There are so many bridge programs that offer the OTA to OT program. And these bridge programs really are so much more intense. Like, the program I did was a 10-week semester. There were like a lot of classes I took during that semester. It wasn't easy, but I did it. I pulled through. It was a hybrid program. It was half online. It was half in person. You know, I mean, I had to put in a lot of work, a lot of time. This program really makes you do things that are based on real life. So because I was an occupational therapist assistant, I had the background of the profession and the hands-on background. So it wasn't something that was new to me completely. The only difference that I had now is writing more research papers. I remember in my first semester, I had to write about a clinic or a setting that I was working in, and I had to be like about 8 pages long. I'll never forget that. I worked in a lot of different nursing homes at that time. It was really hard for me to pick a place to write about because I loved all of them. I loved what I did. I loved working with all those patients, the people. It was something that I just couldn't pick when it came to my research paper. I was like, okay, I have to pick something that I can really put my time and effort into. And at the end, I picked a setting that was really, really good and like had a lot of details about the setting, you know. I had someone who actually gave me insight on it in regards to, you know, how the patient is admitted, what kind of conditions they have, what kind of population. Pretty much I got everything I needed for my research paper. I got a really good score. I'll never forget that. And I was very proud of myself. I hope my video helped you. Please follow, subscribe. Thank you so much once again.